Now we're going to enter several transactions for a company called Beth Bell's Daycare. To do this, we need to log into Canvas and find the handout called Handout, Beth Bell's Daycare.xls. The XLS means it's an Excel spreadsheet, and I'll show you what it looks like. So here's what the spreadsheet looks like. We've got several transactions up here, A through H, and we're going to enter them one by one into the accounting equation down here, into this accounting grid. And I want you to print this out and do it by hand, because when you do things by hand, scientific studies have found out that you learn and remember a lot better than if you just type something into a computer or a spreadsheet. Notice at the very top we have our accounting equation. Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Now the expanded accounting equation lists the accounts below it and lists the three accounts that affect equity, which is draw, revenue, and expense. So of course this company has three assets: cash, accounts receivable, and computer equipment. And liabilities and owner's equity is expanded to include capital, draws, revenue, and expenses. And notice in front of draws we have a negative sign because draws, which remember this is the same as saying withdrawals. So withdrawals lower equity, that's why we have a minus sign. Revenues increase equity, that's why we have a plus sign in front of revenue. And expenses, like draw, decreases equity, so that's why we have a minus in front of expenses. So Beth's business is just starting. So we're going to enter beginning balances of 0 for each account. So on that spreadsheet that you printed out, go ahead and on this first row it should say beginning balance. Remember BAL stands for balance, and put a 0 in for all the accounts, because this company is brand new and every company starts with 0. So notice our accounting equation is true. Assets equals 0. Liabilities plus owner's equity equals 0. Therefore, our accounting equation balances. So now we have our very first transaction. Notice in parentheses it says economic event. That's just the author's fancy way of saying this is a transaction. You need to record it. So the owner, Beth Bell, invests $60,000 into the company. So when it says she invests money, that means she's putting money into her company. So remember the two rules for accounting. Each transaction has to affect 2 or more accounts, and they must balance the accounting equation. So we need to write transaction A so we can tell which transaction we are recording. And then when we analyze these transactions, I tell students to try to start with the account that is the easiest to understand. And in this transaction, cash is the easiest to understand. So is cash being affected? Yeah. We had zero cash, and now we have $60,000 of cash. So is cash going up or down? Well, it's going up, obviously. So we're going to put a positive $60,000 under cash. Now, are we done? Well, look at row A. Does it balance? We've got $60,000 on the left, and we've got nothing on the right. So no, we're not done. It has to balance. So where would we put the $60,000? In other words, who owns this $60,000? Do others own it? In which case we'd put it under liabilities. No, that doesn't make sense. It's not a draw, it's not revenue, we did not sell anything, and it's not an expense. So it's the owner that owns the $60,000. So we're going to put the $60,000 under capital. And now notice our transaction A balances $60,000 on the left side of the equation. And when I say the left side of the equation, I mean the left side of the equal sign, and $60,000 on the right side of the equal sign. So yes, the transaction affects both sides of the equation equally. Left side is plus 60,000, right side is plus 60,000. Now, after every transaction, we need to know our balances. And this first calculation of balances is super easy. So we're going to calculate our balances on the next row. So we're going to write BAL, which stands for balance. And obviously our cash balance is $60,000 because we had zero before. We deposited $60,000. And then under capital, we've got $60,000. So now after determining the balances, is the equation still true? In other words, does the equation balance on the balance row? On the left side, we've got 60,000. And on the right side, we have 60,000. So that is transaction A for Beth Bell's Daycare.